Now broadcasting live from Gaborone, this is your BTV News brought to you by Kailo Sabone. Now in the headlines, the National Development Bank to mobilize funding from the private sector to assist farmers with funds. And the Gaborone City Council is set to construct a 10 million Pula waste transfer station this coming financial year. Finally, in sports, Botswana Sports Commission to send 9 sporting codes to this year's All Africa Games slated for Accra, Ghana next month. Dumelang. The National Development Bank plans to mobilize funding from the private sector to assist farmers with funds for their agricultural projects as an attempt to boost food production in Botswana. This was said by the Resource Mobilization Manager for NDB, Rebo Sakaufiwe, at a media engagement session on Wednesday. Khorata Moranyane and Kolopile Mabina.
The Moletlotlo ploughing scheme, which was implemented this year, is poised to advance the crop production sector in the country, which has shown to be ineffectual in the past years. The scheme is said to have been introduced essentially to promote and encourage commercial farming across the country. The National Development Bank is unwavering in buttressing the Moletlotlo ploughing scheme through funding for utmost sustainability.
Now, there's substantial funding obviously coming through the Moletlotlo to support the agricultural sector, and a lot of it being concessional funding that NDB is going to be administering. Now, when we look at financial intermediation as a financial institution, we are also interested in that the funding that government provides to support the agricultural sector is able to catalyze private capital, because as we all know, government coffers are limited and government cannot do it alone. And so in the end, part of what we wish to accomplish as NDB is to ensure that we are able to crowd in private sector funding to support the agricultural sector and grow the contribution of agriculture towards Botswana's economy.
The National Development Bank has thus far funded both micro and commercial farmers to the tune of 142 million Pula, mainly to support government's efforts in improving food security in the country.
Currently, we have disbursed around 142 million, covering farmers from both micro to commercial levels. We have covered the breadth and length of Botswana with one simple message: the Moletlotlo is here. And how we measure it is through impact. What we want to improve on is our production output. Yes, it's easy, I guess, to disburse the funds, but what is critical is whatever we plow, we do get output. We are currently doing an average production of about 1.5 per hectare, and the aspiration is to move up to 3.5 per hectare.
National Development Bank has deployed their networking officers around the country to educate the public about the Moletlotlo program. Khorata Moranyane, BTV News, Gaborone.
Now, Gaborone City Council will construct a waste transfer station at a tune of 10 million Pula this coming financial year. The station will serve as a crucial hub for efficiently managing and transferring solid waste. This was revealed during a joint meeting between the Gaborone City Council and the Vasteras municipality of Sweden. The two councils signed a memorandum of understanding in 2012 on solid waste management. Terima Hueng and Disang Hotsakhosi.
The two councils, being the Gaborone City Council and Vasteras Municipality of Sweden, signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Contemporary Solid Waste Management. The Memorandum of Understanding, signed in 2012, outlines plans for collaborative efforts in waste management. One of the key initiatives includes the construction of a transfer station in Gaborone. The station will help streamline the collection, sorting and transportation of waste, and timely reducing the environmental impact of solid waste.
The partnership worked on the feasibility and design concept for a waste transfer station in Gaborone. The project that is at a stage where surely before end of this year we would have started. As of now, yes, we have identified land where we will do the transfer station. And the funds also, the government has availed the funds for implementation of that project.
Officials from both cities expressed optimism about the partnership, highlighting the potential long-term benefits. They emphasized the importance of international collaboration in tackling global environmental issues such as waste management.
And when it comes to sustainable consumption, I think we have a lot to learn from you here in Gaborone. We Swedes who have a very high consumptions today that is not sustainable. And so I think maybe we can learn you something about waste management.
With the involvement into schools, I think it's one of the most important things we do with the project, because it's the children, the young people, who can learn a lot and can teach us how to be more caring about the environment and more sustainable, and especially doing things to waste management. So
the partnership has also identified public awareness on waste management, schools programs on waste management, and piloting of recycling initiatives as a way to mitigate the waste management issues. The project signifies a crucial step towards a cleaner and more sustainable future for the two cities. Disang Khosi, BTV News, Gaborone.
Now, Biodiversity Finance Initiative, a concept derived from the United Nations Convention of Biological Diversity in Botswana through its National Biodiversity Action Plan, aims to bridge the gap that exists between the environment and the financial sector. It brings together technocrats, government, and the financial services sector with the aim of establishing a working group that will ensure continued collaboration and partnerships in biodiversity management. Kelebra Eole.
The training workshop is aimed at strengthening capacities and deepening understanding of the biodiversity finance frameworks that will provide a platform for the key sectors to forge partnerships and collaborations going forward.
During the CBD, that is the Convention on Biodiversity, COP11, UNDP launched Biodiversity Financing Initiative as a global partnership aimed at addressing the biodiversity financing gap.
It is through this deepened understanding of this nexus and essential partnerships between the environment and the financial sector, as already indicated, that we can begin to see all those key steps towards supporting the country to realize her aspirations as outlined in our Vision 2036, in our national development plans, and in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
BioFin is a global initiative that provides capacity to the financial sector, private sector, and government, and supports conservation of biodiversity in over 132 countries.
The Biodiversity Finance Initiative is a global initiative that is here to basically curate sustainable finance mechanisms and instruments that support the cause for conservation of biodiversity globally. Currently, we're covering about 132 countries. Earlier, we were at 41, and we just have onboarded about 91 countries through the support from the Global Environmental Facility. So what we just covered today is basically trying to provide capacity to the financial sector and other players around what biodiversity really is. For them to really appreciate the issue.
BioFin will prove instrumental in giving technical and financial support to agricultural subsidies such as Temole under the Ministry of Agriculture through the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan.
It's a new subsidy under Ministry of Agriculture. So what we are currently working on with the Ministry of Agriculture and Botswana University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, we are trying to take stock of our subsidies And the recent findings is more subsidies are in the agriculture sector because of securing food security. So we are assisting them with technical expertise. We are assisting them financially to analyze their programs, in this case the subsidies, and see how they can improve them. The idea is to redesign them because they have a positive outcome in the livelihoods of the people.
The outcomes of this training workshop is to see the formation of the Green Mainstream Working Group that will ensure continued collaboration in biodiversity management. BTV News, Kasani.
And the Hun Council chairperson, Re Muratwa Lekolori, says he's deeply concerned at the rate at which the school examination results are deteriorating in the Kalahari North region, noting that this region has scored 24.9% in junior certificate results, with a decline of 1.3% as compared to last year's JCE results. He said this during a full council meeting, which was held at Hukunzi village. Neo Mudungwa.
3 schools sat for the junior certificate examinations in Kalahari North region, and these schools are Lehutelo in Hukunzi, Motaung in Kang, and Lehututu JSS in Lehututu. Compared to the 2022 results, Lehutelo has dropped by 10% and Motaung declined by 4.4%, whereas Lehututu improved by 12.4%, thus moving from 16.6% in 2022 results.
And 456 registered for junior certificate, 454 for exam, and lastly 478 registered for BGCSE. From these candidates, 2 students missed some papers at JC and 1 at BGCSE.
Councillors also added their views on this matter.
Modula stilo rena le mathata gore bana ba rona mo Kalahadi gongwe ga ba kgathegele thuto le matitšhara ba tabana le tumelo yeo ya gore bana ba rona mo especially ba di-settlement ga ba kgathegele thuto ba tswa ko lapeng ba ya ko sekolong ba nole khadi a ba sa kgone go reetsa misconception o tshwantse o hele modula stilo
director ga ba ye go ka lebaka la dikolo tse di sengwang ke ditsela ha o bona go iragale yana di chief ba di education ga ba ye kgapetsa dio tse di ama sengwe le sengwe modula stilo
mme ha ya bosiwa ga mpeko ya modula stilo ga go a nna sente modula stilo mme nna ke ipeletsa gore modula stilo kana ke belela gore ke tiro tsa go re ka di dira modula stilo tsa bo di ceiling tsa bo di painting modula stilo ra busetsa sekolo mo maemo modula stilo.
On other issues, some councillors decried of lack of electricity in certain villages.
It's high time ya gore le rona re tlhole gompieno re bua ka motakase o ke sa itseng gore ga te go palaeng la stilo re kopa motakase mo councilor ga gore batho ba nna le bone ba go thamelo motakase ba hete ba o he ba ko ngwate mo la stilo
ke kope ba le phatala di tsela mo sulong ba re bollo gore plan ya bone ka hukwe tsela ikela gore go jaanong ya go dira ka tsentseng jana.
The council wrapped the proceedings of the meeting by launching the newsletter. Neo Mudungwa, BTV News, Hukunzi.
Botswana will take part in this year's African Union Summit hosted under the theme Educate and Skill Africa for the 21st century. Now, Minister for Foreign Affairs Dr. Lemogang Kwape says they will be analyzing some of the ideas that the Union was up for in the past year as working together on issues of trade and relations.
le kgotsa la African Union la kopana go tla go a tsa dintlha tse di botlhokwa le kana le go mo gompiekong la Botswana le baemedi ba eteletsepele ke Ferry Motsotatung President Batswana yo tla gorogang ka moso mme le ga goro go na le tiro e irwang e simola irwa ke bodiri jo bogolwane le baemedi ba lehatshe kana mahatshe go ba lwala Botswana mo teng mo Ethiopia go lebelelwa dintlha tse e leng gore lekgotla le di ipeetse pele jaaka o itse gore kgang e tona mo lekgotleng le ke agenda 2063 e leng gore ke yone moalo wa gore re le Aforika re batla Aforika yo ntseng jang re batla go ipona re le kae a ke ka itsholelo a ke ka tshireletsego dintlha tsotlhela tse di botlhokwa mme re mo gompieko tlile go lebelela gore mo ngwageng ono o heta ne re ipeetse seelo sehe ne re itebagantse segolobogolo le tshwaragano ya mafatshe a Aforika mo go tsa kgwebo mo ka seesemane ba tlo go ke CFTA ke gone mo bonang mo bathong ba ba tsileng kwano ba emetseng a tsela botswana go na le tona wa tsa dikgwebo re kgafela ne re beile gore re dira jang gore tirisanyo ya mafatshe a Aforika mo kgwebisanong e nonoge mo ngwageng ono o heta gompieko re changile lewa re lebagane thata le tsa thuto ke gone mo bonang tona wa thuto a tsile yo maabane a nileng le sebaka sa gore a bue gore ra tla mogopolo wa gore go lebelelwe thuto gore re dira thuto e ntseng jang e e siametseng maaforika mo pakeng tsa gompieno jaaka re itse gore Aforika gompieno ke yone e leng gore e tshwere bontsi jwa ditswammung e tshwere banana ba bantsi and go botlhokwa gore bana ba maaforika le baAforika ka kakaretso ba bo ba rutilwe o ne a bua gore ko Botswana re ira eng jaaka o itse gore gompieno re atolosa maranyane mo dikolong jaaka o itse gore re lebelela gore bana ba ruti ba sa le ko tlase re okeditse dipalo tsa dikolo tse leng gore di na le thuto ya bana ba iseng ba simolole sekolong.
Now, mindset change coach at the Khansi District Commissioner's Office, Re Witness Taziba, says lack of love and toxic work environment contributes to low productivity in the workplace. Speaking during a mindset change and team building workshop meant to promote conducive workplaces, officers were implored to put their differences aside and foster good working relations which will ensure they meet targets and create an inclusive atmosphere. Angela Enosa.
Generally celebrated the world over by couples in romantic relationships, the 14th day of February is the time to exchange gifts and other pleasantries to express love and gratitude. For the Khansi District Commissioner's Office, the day was celebrated through team-building exercises meant to foster relations and encourage companionship within the workplace.
Poor work ethics within the public service. Poor time management, and then teamwork within the working environment. Kana environment environment you need, and consequently productivity
A toxic work environment is said to stifle productivity.
A companionate love in our workplace. We are expecting to have a vital employee morale, teamwork, and customer satisfaction. Re batla go bona re na le practice of forgiveness. Ha yo mongwe a go iretse phoso mo tirong, a re bone go itshwarelana. We expect gore ha re achieve, we see compassionate workers. Ba e leng gore re na le neelano, re bereka mmogo. Re ka se re kgone se mindset.
An important lesson that was imparted during this session was how to deal with anger, which is one of the many emotions one battles with within the workplace.
Respond immediately. Kana be ke tlola thu ke go 6 gore ke motswala yano then a re mise mokgwa o ka gore ha re setse go tla nako ya gore re itshwarelane ga go ke gona re ke le nosi mo bothukung ba me ma go kwaela ba ntla ba gore tota motho le nna ra ya.
According to the International Labour Organization, an employee spends an average of 8 hours per day at their workplaces. Creating an environment filled with respect for one another, companionship, and general caring for each other is therefore ideal, especially with the workforce mandated with driving the nation's developmental agenda. Angela Enosa, BTV News, Khansi.
Maokane Sub-Land Board is set on educating and ensuring that residents know and understand the Land Act regulation fee schedule, which were introduced in April 2022, as well as other land-related issues. The Sub-Land Board Secretary, Refanuel Radifalana, says these stakeholder relations are important because they create an opportunity for Botswana to give feedback about land allocation proceedings. Tato Ranna.
According to Mr. Radifalana, the 2022 fee schedule for the revised Tribal Land Act are set using the prime or rural area criteria. However, he says the reason behind these rates is to discourage Botswana from transferring their land ownership to foreigners. Furthermore, it was also revealed that these rates would be reviewed annually.
Tse dingwe ne re a ne re duela ma 5 pula, tse dingwe re duela ma 10 pula le ma 20 pula. Mme re ha molao o tla o wa tisa dituelo tse ne di le ka go tlhabolla kana go thusa land board gore le yone e kgone go itlhabolla ka tsela nngwe. Mme mo tsamaisong eo gala mo tshega morafe o baballwa ke dituelo tseo.
Mero tshwanetse re rotlhe re be re tlhaloganya gore ba ba tshwereng phate yone re ya dileng e bolle hatshe ba re ba tshwereng ke sone se leng gore ha no gompieno batsadi go le kudisana.
Botswana are encouraged to register abandoned land that is less than 5 years rather than the land which is more than 5 years, as it is not safe for occupation.
Amantsi a ile gore gompieno yana ka re le hajara ja ka re gatile mo godimo ga matlotla a motho mongwe yo e leng gore le ene na tla go thibela mo teng ga matlotla a motho mongwe gape a mme jaanong ha ile go dio tse re tla di dira tsotlhe a bana ba re ba tsholang ba ba tswang ko tlase a ba tla bona le hatsi ga ba ka ke ba bona le hatsi a re bueng ka so se se tshelang ha ile gore tshimo eo e mo masimo mme ke tshimo hela e sa le batsadi ba e dirisa e le gong e bonala gore e bile mo tirisong a e kwadisiwa.
Hala ha o le kgosi o kwala gore go ha go a dirisiwa a go bogontse ya ha gongwe dikgang tse dingwe di bakwa ke rona beng ba rona ha gongwe di bakwa ke rona wa bona gore go ntse kana batho ba re supileng ka monwana hera ja ka le malen boteana ha re ka ska ra direla morahe sentle ga bana gore tshepa.
Residents were also advised to desist from selling their land and should start to view it as an investment. Tatorana, BTV News, Maokane.
And that's how we end our bulletin at this hour. Thank you for watching Sports is standing by with Tato Kosimora. Thank you, Kailo Sabone. It is that time of the afternoon where we look at In Context the Sports Update, brought to you by Tato Kosimura. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at our top story. Botswana National Sports Commission will send 9 Olympic sporting codes at this year's Africa Games, slated for Accra, Ghana next month. The 13th edition of the Games will be held from the 8th to the 24th. Katlao Khakole and Witatolo Maluleng compiled the report.
According to Botswana National Sports Commission Sports Development Director Peaceful Seleka, this year they have prioritized the sporting codes that would help the Commission to attain its vision and have potential to qualify for the upcoming international sports events.
These are the code Dile 9 go the African Games and we have started engaging them for preparations. As you know, there is accreditation that should happen. The closing date is today. So they have already submitted their loan list. They have submitted their documents that are required to complete the accreditation. So we have engaged with those. The approach that we have adopted as a commission is that we use other games to prepare for the measure. So the African Games are preparations for the Olympics. And you should understand that also that African Games for some sport codes such as athletics are also a qualifier to the Olympics. So we'll be using the African Games to try and qualify some other athletes.
Since resources were limited, Botswana National Sports Commission would be sending a smaller delegation targeting 10 medals as compared to the last edition, where Botswana had a bigger team and managed to win 13 medals. This year, the BNSC have adopted a different approach towards how they will prepare for the Games before heading to Accra next month.
We are planning to have our final camp from the 25th of February to the 4th, when the first group will be leaving to Ghana. You would understand that our team is not going to leave at the same time because of the scheduling of the games. The game starts on the 8th of March and finishes on the 23rd. But for example, athletics will be competing from the 18th to the 23rd. So it will not be prudent to take them to Ghana on the 8th, because we might have challenges of where they train and such things. So we are engaging with Botswana Athletics Association to see where in the meantime where they'll be placed training home, or would have funds to take them somewhere to keep on preparing.
Botswana's 13th All-Africa Games team include athletics, boxing, judo, taekwondo, 3-on-3 basketball, tennis, swimming, weightlifting and beach volleyball. The team is expected to depart to Accra, Ghana on the 4th of March, returning home on the 28th. Katlego Khakwele, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
In football news, Joining Galaxy moved to the top of Botswana Premier League log standings after defeating Traffic 1-0 in their Premier League game played at Obeditani Chilume Stadium last night. Galaxy's goal was scored by Taban Sesenye in the dying minutes of the game. The result means that Diamond Town side are now on position 1 on the log standings with 35 points, just a point behind the Township Rollers, while Machiminyenga, on the other hand, are still on position 7 with 20 points.
We played well. It's a balanced game, first and second half. I thought a game that is played in that manner should end in a draw. But the luck is not always for two people, it's for one. So luck was on our side. It's a painful loss for us. Second successive game when we concede in the dying minutes, it's not good. I don't know whether I should call this concentration lapse or it's tough luck.
It was a very difficult match, a very tactical game. We need to give credit to Coach Phil. He's doing a tremendous work here. This team is playing good football. They play a 4-4-2, the traditional 4-4-2. But the good thing about it, he has very good players who can play that system, and they know how to close the inner zones where you would want to play. Honestly speaking, I think as a team, they did very well, and I think they tried to stick to the plan.
In conclusion, Botswana Bowling Association President Kitso Robert says bowling in Botswana is showing signs of growth as they are now able to develop the sport from grassroots level as well as organizing different tournaments. Michelle Sekopo with more.
As a way of the Botswana Bowling Association's efforts to grow, they have joined hands with the Botswana National Sports Commission to kickstart the Rebabonaha program at Joneng.
Re iswe ko tier 2 go supa gore ra iteka ke BNSC go supa ra le ka thata because la o ka lebelela re setse re tsentse le bananyana mo sportseng gampieno, and there's a lot of them go joining these clubs tse dingwe. BNSC ba re hile equipment e ka tsena mo dikweleng ya kae through Rebabonaha santse re practice nto go joina re seno go kgona center da simela tsena mo dikweleng le mo di kgalong tse di go tenya.
Furthermore, Robert appreciated the financial injection that the association continued to receive from various stakeholders, which has made it possible for Botswana Bowling Association to host and participate at the international tournaments.
So tota re club ngwe le ngwe na barotwetsi ba bantsintsi thata ra di club di a dira mo barotwetsi le rona re la association re kopa hale le hale like no tournament re tswa me go ne sponsorilwe ke Might Infinite Services ke di bowler tse di sa tshamekeng gampie when was sponsored a tournament ka 12,000 ba ka madiro la ga boron club go over 150,000 ba ba re neela association Botswana Bowling Association ba re neetse 100,000 ke la bobedi ba re sponsora ka madi aka.
In other developments, Botswana Bowling Association managed to review their constitution to align it with the Botswana National Sports Commission.
Mo go botlhokwa ke constitution ya rona ne re aligna le ya BNSC re itse ko malokong gore ba e check-e re kgone go e dumelana le strategy re se dirile re se rometse ko malokong ba kgone go se dumelana le melawana ya motshameko ya rona ya metshameko ya le yona ne re review re rometse ko ba tshameking gore ba lebelle gore
Botswana Bowling Association is expected to host a competition in Francistown next month where they will be selecting the national team which will represent Botswana at the Africa Stage Tournament. Michelle Sekopo, BTV Sports, Gaborone.
That's it from In Context, our sports update. Stay tuned. In Context continues on the other side.
Pharologanyo ya isphadi le temoletoto bokete jwa yone gantsi re isa ko phetogong yone tota hela mindset change.